You're listening to a Smart When Shouting podcast. www.smartwhenshouting.com. Please remember to turn your cell phone to silent, note the emergency exit locations around you, and remember, Smart When Shouting is not responsible for any premature deaths. Please enjoy the show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man.
Star Wars, sexy statues, and pastors. This is why the aliens won't land. Your weekly podcast covering the stupidest and most inane stories of the week that explains why, if there is intelligent life out there, it's not coming here. I'm Leigh Adeline.
And I'm Matt Renfro.
And you might not have heard from us for a little while. Why don't you explain why?
Well, because last week was about a $2,000 week for me. Had a little car
You made
problem.
it rain that much.
I made it rain $2,000, and it didn't rain on me, I'll say that. It wasn't my $2,000. It went to someone else's pocket. Had car troubles, so life was hell.
And because of the car troubles, we were not able to come together to do a podcast. Over your car.
But we're here now.
And in order to make it up to you, lovely viewers, and you one ugly one there.
Oh, he's kind of cute.
Yeah. Fair enough. We are doing a twice as long podcast. We're going to try and go for 2 hours. Watch me say that, but the shortest podcast yet.
Yes. Biggest troll ever. But
we have double the stories this week, aside from our main topic, which we only have one, but there's a lot to cover in it. We have double the stories. We have 8 awful stories for you this week. So strap in.
So you are almost guaranteed to lose some IQ points after listening to our stories. So
Or cry.
Or cry. Or both.
Both.
Both. Oh,
Oh. But let us get into our topic of the week. Couldn't afford a theme song for that part. But our topic this week revolves around Star Wars. If you were watching a professional podcast, the intro music would come in right there.
The credits would start to roll upwards.
But you're not. So get over it. But explain to the good people why Star Wars is what we're talking about.
Because in the past 2 months, Disney, since the acquisition of the Star Wars property from George Lucas, Disney has, sort of ish announced what seems like almost 4 Star Wars movies.
4?
4 Star Wars movies.
Count them with me, everybody. 1 Star Wars movie. 2 Star Wars movies. Way too many Star Wars movies.
I mean, and it's really weird. The first movie I heard of was a spin-off. It wasn't a proper sequel, which I thought was really weird.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did announce Episode 7 the day that they acquired them. But the first movie that we actually had any details about
is a spin-off.
Yeah. And that first one, go ahead.
The idea around it, revolving around the old movie Seven Samurai, actually, doesn't sound like such a horrible idea for a spin-off. It's just
basically, for those uninformed, which is, we need to inform you, what's his face? Zack Snyder, who did Watchmen and 300 and Sucker Punch and is doing the new Man of Steel movie, has said that Disney is allowing him... I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I want to say it is. It said that he is doing a spin-off Star Wars movie that will revolve... essentially a remake of the Seven Samurai, the old Akira Kurosawa movie, but with Jedis.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that movie, so you gotta inform them about that.
It's interesting. They can go watch the movie themselves. It's has a lot of potential for some really interesting things because the movie itself doesn't matter too much to our discussion, but what does matter is the fact that George Lucas did base a lot of the ideas in Star Wars off of samurai movies and Japanese films,
Japanese lore and
like films from Akira Kurosawa, who did Seven Samurai. So it's very easy to see the Jedi being a replacement for the samurai.
Replace the Bushido with the lightsaber.
And it could open up for some really cool ideas in the sense that it'll follow just sort of the same old style plot, but the big difference will be the fact that it's in this futuristic place with laser swords and
I just feel like I like the idea because I feel like it's a different part of the Star Wars galaxy that we haven't gone to yet.
I'm hoping that none of the Jedis are ones we know. That's kind of what I'm hoping. But sadly, that leads into some other news that I don't think either of us are too happy about. Is aside from that spinoff, they've also announced a few other spinoffs that are in the works. There's rumored that there's going to be a Yoda spinoff. Has that been confirmed yet?
That was the first rumor that I heard, but I don't know if it's been confirmed yet.
I'm
pretty sure the only one that we know for sure that's probably going to happen is this Seven Samurai one. Which I think is going to happen.
Possibly, but the next two that we're about to talk about were confirmed by someone, and I'll get to that in a second. They were saying that they might do a Yoda spinoff movie, which, no. What a lot of people don't understand about movies and characters that they love are that a lot of times the characters that you love in a movie aren't the main character, and they only work because they're not the main character. Prime example, Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean. In the first 3 Pirates movies, Jack Sparrow is not the main character. The movies start out with Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley's characters, and that's the plot that they revolve around. Jack Sparrow and J.V. Jones and all them are thrown into it. Because if you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, you'll remember that the whole first movie revolved around Orlando Bloom's character being caught up with Jack Sparrow, and Keira Knightley's character being caught up with Captain Barbossa and the Pirates of the Black Pearl. And the reason their stories sort of mesh, one, because Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, they knew each other when they were younger, and they'd grown up with each other. And two, because Keira Knightley had one essential element that the pirates needed, and Orlando Bloom had the other. Keira Knightley had a gold coin that they needed, and Orlando Bloom had blood that they needed, which, if you haven't seen the movie, will make no sense. But watch the movie. It's pretty good. And the thing is, it establishes that those two are the main characters of the film. Them, their romance, and their growth, especially Orlando Bloom's character, those are the main ones we're following. And we follow them all the way through. And Barbossa and Jack and Davy Jones are all essentially thrown into the mix. And the reason that is not because Orlando's character is better than Jack's character. I would say that it isn't. But what his character is a character that the audience can relate to. It's the quote-unquote human character of the movie that allows you to essentially hop along with them and relate to them and travel through their world. It's just like with Star Wars, the originals, Luke Skywalker was just a farm boy originally. Wanted to go to school,
Just like me. Ooh! It gives me chills thinking about it. Yeah. I'm a farm boy on my vapor farm, moisture farm, ready to save the galaxy.
And that's one of the reasons why it works so well, is because Luke is a character we can strongly relate to. I feel like I just knocked something there.
I am Luke. Like, I am Luke.
And that's why the original Pirates movies, at least the first one worked so well, is because Jack Sparrow was a supporting character.
And then look what happens when they gave him a movie.
Yeah, that's why it's the prime example. The fourth movie tanked because they tried to make Jack the main character. Jack works as great because he's the comic relief. He's that goofy character, that otherworldly character. And that's Johnny Depp's specialty, just in general. It's why Edward Scissorhands is not the main character. It's why Willy Wonka and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not the main character. And the thing they have in common, and it's why the Mad Hatter is not the main character.
Exactly.
It's because Johnny Depp does great at creating interesting, funny characters that make a movie memorable. But the thing is, they don't make a movie, per se. And that's the biggest problem I have with doing one over Yoda. Is because Yoda was always a great supporting character.
He was all, from afar, helping from afar, judging, always watching, you know what I mean? Not in the action.
That great mentor character, that great person that you loved, whose lines were memorable, but who was there to support your main character. And honestly, if Yoda wasn't there to support Luke's character, he wouldn't be as memorable. He'd be this creepy little...
He would have never grown into a Jedi. Like, you would have never seen that transformation. And
the reason we love Yoda so much because his wisdom was used in tandem with Luke's character development,
and at proper points. He wasn't through the whole thing.
Yeah,
he was delivered at the right point. He was
used when he needed to be used.
Exactly.
And that is why I don't want a Yoda spinoff.
Yes, I think
it's because his character does not lend itself to holding a full movie.
A full movie would be like Yoda saturation.
Yeah. I don't think it would end up well. Yoda is great as a supporting character. He's not great as a lead.
No.
Now, before we get to the biggest meat of the conversation, there are two other spin-offs that recently were announced, and I haven't read it yet, but apparently they're confirmed through the latest issue of Entertainment Weekly.
Wowzers.
So there's some weight behind it.
These two I would rather watch.
Definitely.
I would.
They don't have the problem that the Yoda movie would have.
They don't have that problem. And one of them I would actually kind of really want to see. I'm not too... Anyways, the two of them are Han Solo and...
Young Han Solo.
Young Han and Boba Fett.
Those are the two that we're not... I believe they've been announced. I don't think it's just like, oh, these could happen if people like it. I believe they've been announced to be in the works, to be in pre-production. Now, the caveat of these is that some people at Disney have said that these are very early very early stages, and things could change, which is their way of saying, if we decide to scrap this, we told you. We have a way out if we need it. Which is interesting that they're doing that. It's weird that they haven't... This deal had to have been in the work for years. It's not like drop of a dime, George.
Oh no, not like we sold this 2 months later. Hey, we're doing all this.
Yeah, this had to be in the works for a while, and it feels like they're still at the point where they're just like, oh well, what can we do? Let's think of ideas.
Because I almost feel like these were ideas that they probably approached him with, like, this is what we want to do with it, give it to us, and
but the way
they've been okay with it, so.
But the way they're treating him is like they're still in testing the waters.
Like they're almost like waiting for our reaction.
Kind of. It's weird.
Like,
it's very weird.
Like, they don't want to... I think they don't want to back themselves into a corner and then have to make a weird movie.
Maybe.
Because these could be weird movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, Star Wars is weird in general. But
weird for the series.
So is most art. Most art is weird. And that's what makes it so interesting.
Just off for the series. Off. It's just... I would really like to see a Boba Fett one. I would think. But yeah,
talking about those two movies, we have two. The Boba Fett one would either take place between episodes 4 and 5 or episodes 5 and 6, and just talk about Boba Fett's journeys. The problem is Boba Fett is not that interesting of a character. Boba Fett is a cool looking and cool acting character, but I'm not sure he'd have a lot of meat behind him. What we've seen from Boba Fett is he's obviously a bounty hunter. His father was a bounty hunter. And it seems like he became a bounty hunter sort of because his father was killed by Jedi. That he chose the side he did because of what happened to his dad. But there's not a lot of development there for a character.
Well, I want to know about the Mandalorians and that armor. That's a badass group of people in the Star Wars universe, and like he had to train. Like he had to train to get that armor. Unless that's not Jango's. So he had to go through hell to get that armor.
But I don't think that's what they'd cover.
That's what I want to know.
Because they said it'd be between episode 4 and 5 and 5 and 6 when he already has all that. I would assume. Because the beginning of episode 5, he has it all because he's going on the quest to get Han. So
I'd only be interested in origin story for Boba Fett.
I don't think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be the adventures of Boba Fett.
Okay, so we're going like the Wicket route with that.
Yeah.
Right? No.
Essentially. That's what it sounds like it's going to be.
No.
Especially since the fact that they say that it could cover him between episode 5 and 6. It feels like it'd more be like an episode of Clone Wars extended out. Except at a different time period. Which I don't think is going to be that interesting. Because Boba Fett...
I think Han Solo would be horrible.
I'll get to that in a second. But Boba Fett, they don't establish much about his character other than he's cool looking and he does badass things. Essentially. But that is not a character make. That's a great side character, which is what he is. And even less so than... He's not even a supporting character, really. He's a plot device. That's what Boba Fett is in the movies, is he is a plot device. A very cool plot device, but a plot device nonetheless. He's a device to get Han away from the rest of the people and to tie up the Jabba plotline that was helped put a lot of the movies into motion. Needed plot device, cool plot device, but a plot device nonetheless. Mm-hmm. And his character, while there could be some interesting stuff, so far we haven't seen a lot of interesting stuff. Oh, kid with trauma becomes bounty hunter like his dad. What else? He's a clone, so I can't imagine he's that different than Jango. And in the movies, Jango isn't that interesting. And
we can't be basing things off previous movies.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to do new things with this.
So if they do that, I hope they make it more interesting. I hope they make his character interesting. But that's a pitfall I can see. I could see happening.
What do you think about Han?
Han, the movie is a young Han Solo movie. So before all the events of him becoming a bounty hunter, they've even shown a little concept art of what he might look like as a kid. Very tattered and stuff. And I think it could be actually very interesting. Han's character, obviously we spend a lot more time with him than Boba. He could hold himself up as a main character. Because even though he's not the farm boy that Luke is, that relatable character, he is a character that people can connect to because he is very human. He's gotten into trouble. He's... I'm trying to think of a good character that would sort of relate with that. Because there are other characters in films that are kind of like Han Solo.
Like, Han Solo is just a pretty boy, like, in my opinion.
I disagree.
I'm not a fan of Han Solo, really.
I think that's the problem.
I'm one of the few Star Wars fans that's probably not a fan of Han Solo that much.
Probably.
I think he's like a dude bro in the Star Wars universe.
That's what he is, but his character is more interesting.
So I don't think that him becoming a dude bro would be very interesting, in my opinion.
I think that it would be interesting in the sense that if they did it right, there could be a lot of intrigue. I feel like if they make it young Han Solo, though, like, as a kid, I don't think it'd be very interesting, which is looking like the route they're going. What could be interesting to me is what Han does before that fateful day when he meets Obi-Wan and Luke. Because obviously before this, he just through dialogue and things, we know that he has done a lot of very interesting things. There's how did he meet a Wookiee and become best friends with this Wookiee? Mm-hmm. Him getting the Millennium Falcon and his time with Lando and gambling and things like that. How did he get in trouble with the Hutts? How did he get this bounty put on his head? The Kessel Run, which is that thing, the big record that he held. There's a lot of interesting stuff that Han has done. And
but I don't want to see it. So
at worst, if they covered all this stuff, it would be a fun action movie. But I think that more so if they did Han Solo's time before A New Hope, it could be essentially sort of like a buddy movie. between them. Because him and Chewbacca are buddy characters.
The Hangover at light speed.
And it could be interesting. I think it has a lot of potential. But the way that what I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be very boring and based around a traumatic childhood or whatever, which isn't what it should be. If they make a Han Solo movie, because of his character, it has to essentially be a dude bro movie, most likely an action comedy.
God, that just makes me sick. That is disgusting.
Imagine if Ted had a lot of action. That feels like what it would be.
Yes, that seems exactly like what it would be, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it my stamp of no. No.
I think it could be fun.
No.
I think if it's done right, it could be fun. It could be funny. It could
That's
be
just not part of.
Could be a grand old time.
It's just not part of the canon I want to explore.
The biggest issue with that, if they did it like that, which I don't think they will, which is the biggest issue, would be that they'd have to figure out a way to make it Chewie's character more interesting. Because I love Chewie. Everybody loves Chewie, but they love him as part of an ensemble where there's Luke, Leia, Han, Obi-Wan, C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewie. He's the seventh part of a big ensemble. So he doesn't have to have much screen time where he's not needed. If it was a buddy movie with Han and Chewie, he'd have a lot more screen time. And
maybe subtitles.
Yeah, and the problem with Wookiees is that they don't talk English.
You'd have to have subtitles, so...
and that would kind of ruin the character a little bit. It would make it less interesting. Because we'd understand, there's a whole... We know there's a Wookiee language, but it's more fun when we don't know kind of what he's saying. When it's more of the... yeah.
It's just that. It's just that.
And more visual comedy.
Yeah,
more slapstick.
It makes him more of an alien, more of a creature. Like
Imagine a Han Solo movie where the characters are like Penn and Teller. Because Chewie doesn't really talk. He's...
and Han is an asshole.
Yeah.
And Han is an asshole. So, I mean, there we go. Penn and Teller in space.
I want to see that now. Penn and Teller in space.
Only it's kind of like their bodies are like kind of flip-flopped. Like, because Penn is actually like the size of a Wookiee. And Teller's more of Han's size.
I have a feeling... Penn's not as much of a ladies' man as Han.
Oh no, I believe that a few words come out of his mouth in front of a woman, they turn the other way and walk off. Like, I'm pretty sure he's good at defending women. I'm pretty sure he likes to do it too, probably. It's fun.
I don't think he likes defending people. I think that he's very honest, though. And a bit of an asshole. But I like Penn, so.
Oh yeah.
I love Penn.
With that guy.
Come on our show, Penn. I have him on Skype over here. But those are my biggest issues with them, and I just don't see them being good. The Seventh Samurai one I see being good, but Yoda and young Han and Boba Fett, I don't see them being being good and having any good substance behind them.
I've just had too much Star Wars thrown at me within these past couple of weeks, and none of it makes a lot of sense. Star Wars is in a very strange limbo state right now.
And I know Disney wants to milk the characters for all they're worth. That's what they do. But
and I have faith in Disney.
I think they'll at least make one really good Star Wars movie. At least one.
And I hope it's the numbered one.
Yeah, hopefully.
God, please.
But the biggest issue of all of this is the simple fact that I don't want to see the same characters again. I'm tired of the Skywalker story and all the people surrounding that. It was cool while it lasted, until they screwed it up in the first three, or episodes 1, 2, and 3. But I'm done with those characters. I want to be done with them. I love Obi-Wan to death, but he's run his course. Let's end him off. I love Darth Vader. Let's call it quits. Don't run them into the ground. Let their story be what their story is, and let's cover some other things. Because the Star Wars universe, because of how it's designed, is one of the biggest universes out there. It's not like Star Trek, where it has to worry about having an Earth here and having that, because it's in a different galaxy far, far away. It's not like Lord of the Rings, where it's all constrained into one area, Middle-earth, because it's a whole galaxy. It's has so much potential, so much room for growth that almost no other franchise has. And they're still just focused on this one little line of characters.
Because that is Star Wars. And people are afraid to venture outside of that because they're afraid they're going to make something that isn't Star Wars. Because a lot of fans, I'm not saying I'm one of them, but I mean a lot of fans, if they don't have that one thing that connects it to the Star Wars universe, it's not Star Wars.
But you have that. You have Jedis and lightsabers, and I'm not saying get rid of any of that. I just want new characters. And that's something that's been done to great success with things like Knights of the Old Republic. And in the expanded universe, things like Grand Admiral Thrawn.
If we're going to do that, then none of them need to be numbered anymore, because the numbered
I can see the numbered ones following the story.
Yes, because that.
But what I would like to see with the numbered ones is it starts off and it's sort of like passing the torch. Darth Vader's dead. Luke Skywalker is old. He's reestablished the Republic, and whatever. 7, 8, and 9. Luke marries Ginny or whatever. I'll go with that route. And 7, 8, and 9, I want them to follow someone else. I don't want, the prequels and the original trilogy were connected with Anakin's character. Anakin, Darth Vader, same character. That's how they were connected. What I kind of want is, even though the characters from 4, 5, and 6 are probably going to be there, I don't want the movie to focus on them. That's the connection, is the fact that Luke's there and Leia are there, but they're sort of the elders. They've grown old. They've taken the position of the Jedi Council and things like that. And the new movie focuses on a new batch of characters that have to deal with some new complications that Luke and Leia and Han are simply too old to deal with. They're in this new position of power where they can't go deal with it. They're old, they're political, things like that. Because that is the natural progression. You don't stay young forever. The rebellion doesn't last forever, no matter how much you want it to in your mind. And in order to make this new series work, I don't want old Luke going around with a lightsaber, beating people up. Just like this 60, 70-year-old Luke Skywalker going up, I'm gonna kill the Sith!
You don't want to see Luke run around like Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I don't want that. And even if it's their kids, though I don't really want it to be, I need a new batch. I need a new batch of people to keep it interesting. A story that can be fairly disconnected from the originals, but is still in the Star Wars universe.
As long as it's not numbered, I'm cool with that.
But I think for the numbered ones, even.
No, the numbered ones follows the unbalancing of the Force and the person who brings it back to balance. And they originally thought it was Anakin, which it wasn't.
Here's what I'm going to propose about the movies. This is what I'd like to see. The prequel Star Wars trilogy was very focused on politics and things like that. To its detriment in those, because of how it was done, but that's what it was focused on. It was focused on political strife and things like that, and those were what the themes revolved around on. The original trilogy was all revolved around the hero's journey and things like that, and it became famous for being such a shining example of that. But the thing about both of those is that they took them in very black and white ways. Obviously, the first one, 4, 5, and 6, with the dark side and the light side and things like that. And even in the first one, you had this very distinct group of people that they called evil, and this very distinct group that they called good. What I would like to see in the 7th, 8th, and 9th one, after the Force has been quote-unquote rebalanced and everything, I want to see a few things. I want to see, for one, I want to see how the Jedi can integrate both the light and dark side into their lives and into their message and meaning. I want to see it to where the balance is grayed. Because the Force is balanced now, there's no need to have one good side and one bad side. They need to be mixed. And I think that would go together for some interesting conflict. And that's possibly what a new batch of characters could do. It could be Luke and Leia and Han are still very focused on, no, these need to stay separated. We saw what evil can do. Whereas these new batch of kids could be a differing opinion, saying, yes, if you get consumed by evil, it can do that.
But still, that's where that power is coming from, though, is hate. So,
but what if it's not bad if we can combine these two to make a healthy means?
But if you're having to use hate to create a power, like...
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it explored. I think it could be an interesting discussion and make for some interesting conflict.
Oh no, I think it would
like
make for good conflict for a Jedi that, you know...
Old generation versus new generation.
Yeah, but...
that could be something really interesting. I would like to see, in the expanded universe, there is a group of people called the Yuuzhan Vong. These are people that come from outside the bounds of the galaxy that they know of. And the big thing about them is that they are villains, but they're not affected by the Force. And that's the big thing. I would be very interested to see Jedis have to deal with people that aren't in this Force. And that could not only bring up questions about religion and spirituality in the universe, but it could also bring up questions about connecting to the, is it really that bad or is it really that good? Can these two be mixed healthily? Because it's not aiming at a direct person, the Force becomes used solely for good people. And I'm very interested to see what that could bring. And I think that those themes could be something that could be really well discussed in a new Star Wars movie, numbered, that doesn't connect directly to Luke Skywalker's story.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't even want to hear about it.
Even if it's his kid. Though it's not something I'd personally want. Even if it still has to be the Skywalker line, Anakin Skywalker, the prequels, Luke Skywalker, the original, and then Ben Skywalker or Han Skywalker, whatever bad name they'll come up with for him.
No, I would prefer it to be Han and Leia's kid because they have the Force. It would be a solo.
I could see that. So it could... I think there's a lot of potential there, and I think that they need to not focus on Luke and Leia and Han.
I don't think they're going to at all, in any way. They can't really. They're all decrepit. Like, they're all old, and, like, there would be huge fan outrage if they decided to cast people as those people again. I don't think they would work. So I think we're going to go the route of your route. So
I'd really like to see that. I think it could be interesting. I just don't want it to turn out... I love the Avengers, but I don't want it to turn out where where all the conflict is simply visual conflict, where it's literally just, oh, these bad people are coming to attack, and we gotta fight them off. Because that's what the Avengers was. I love the Avengers. I thought it was a very good movie. I had problems with third act, but I loved the banter between the characters. I loved all that. But the problem is there's not a lot of depth to the Avengers. It's a team of superheroes fighting off supervillains. And that's all it is. It's an action fest.
None of the characters are
particularly
interesting.
It's better than most action fests in the fact that there actually are fleshed out characters that do banter, and that's the part that I enjoy. But it is still an action flick that doesn't have a lot of depth to why the action is going on. So far, at least. And what I'd like to see from the new Star Wars is, because you have this universe that's deeply rooted in spirituality and a Jedi Order and things like that, and has gone through so much crap, especially in the immediate past, it could bring up so many interesting questions that wouldn't detract from anyone's enjoyment of the action scenes or things like that, but would add a lot of depth that people could say, these three original trilogy are great, and these three are great, and they have a lot of depth behind them, and these two can mesh really well together and create a great contrast and conversation.
Because we don't need extreme action in Star Wars. I mean, you give us one or two lightsaber battles in a movie, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm cool with that. Just give me a couple lightsaber battles, and I'll watch the rest of the movie.
What are the most memorable lightsaber battles? The ones that impact you the most, personally as a viewer, tend to be the ones in Episode 5 and 6 between Vader and Luke.
Vader and Luke and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon. That one was pretty memorable for me.
But the thing is, in the original trilogy, there wasn't a lot of action.
No, there was none. There wasn't any. Like, there was very few space sequences.
Yeah, in the lightsaber scenes.
Yeah, like there was a few like dogfighting sequences, but other than that,
you still remember the atmosphere, and you remember the hopelessness, and you remember the effect that it has on you, and that's because it's based around character and not just fight choreography like the ones in the prequels were. The prequel ones looked cool. Certainly, I can remember that they looked pretty dazzling, and the Darth Maul fight with the double lightsaber. That has cool aspects of it, but it is just choreography, and it doesn't really affect you too much on a personal level.
No, it affected me on a personal level, because I really liked Qui-Gon, and like you saw Obi-Wan watch his master die, just like, pretty much like what Luke did in Episode 4 with Obi-Wan.
But think about some of the other...
That's what it was. That was like a reimagining of that same moment for me, so that's why it brought me back to Episode 4.
But think about some of the other moments, like the Palpatine and Mace Windu and fights like that throughout the series. They don't have a lot of impact. They look cool, and there's lightsabers flying around and everything, but they don't have a lot of impact behind them. Even the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight at the end of Episode 3, it has more impact than the others, but it doesn't have as much as the ones in Episode 5 and 6 and 4. Simply because you don't become as invested in the characters.
And I mean, chances are it's never going to happen again. That magic is probably never going to come back.
But I'd like to see if we can get closer to it than the prequels got.
I would too.
And the thing about that fight at the end of Episode 3, and the thing is, throughout the entire trilogy, they're not really getting you invested in the characters too much. Obi-Wan is sort of this mentor figure who's not a mentor figure.
They were just banking you already know these characters, so you better watch it.
Yeah, Anakin is a whiny little shit, and neither of them acts like a main character. And if you haven't seen them yet, go look up the Red Letter Media reviews of the prequel trilogy. It talks about all this, and it's really good at explaining the simple fact that there's no one we really connect to in the prequels. Like, there's no Luke figure to bring us into this universe. You have, quote-unquote, two main characters of Obi-Wan and Anakin that aren't main characters at all, but they're the people we follow.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot of potential behind all this.
There's a lot of potential and a lot of things that can go very wrong.
We probably spent like 3 hours talking about this now, it feels like. And we still have one more thing to cover with Star Wars. The fact that they have announced that the writer and director... The writer will be the person who wrote Toy Story 3, and I'm not happy.
And the title will be Little Miss Jedi. Did he also pin that?
He also did Little Miss Sunshine, yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I'm not very happy about
makes so much
that
sense.
so far.
That makes so much sense, Matt. He wrote Little Miss Sunshine. That was epic.
Star Wars time. To be fair, he is doing the adaptation of Catching Fire, the second Hunger Games movie. So we'll see how that goes. It just feels like an odd choice. For one, I at least felt like Toy Story 3 was the weakest of the three Toy Stories.
I didn't even want to watch it. I didn't see it because I didn't want to watch it. I felt it was just no.
The problem was they focused on all...
Which we've talked about this, so
but not on here.
But this isn't the topic, though. We got to get on Star Wars.
Fair enough. It focused on the wrong things. I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
And we'll see how he does with Catching Fire. Even though it's an adaptation, if it's good, I can get a little pumped for it. But we'll see.
I would feel a little more comfortable if he had done a sci-fi movie prior.
Or just a movie similar to Star Wars. Not even sci-fi necessarily.
Yeah, it's like an action movie. I guess... good luck. Good luck, dude.
Good luck. But the much bigger news that people are talking about is the fact that they've decided that the director will be J.J. Abrams.
Crazy!
So now the person who rebooted Star Trek is also going to be the one to reboot Star Wars.
So now the man holds two galaxies in his hand. One galaxy in each hand. Like, this dude...
He's got the whole world in his hands.
Like, nerds bow to JJ. Like, he controls everything now. Like, he has landed, like, the most coveted director role, like, of my generation right now. Like,
my big issue is... I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, J.J. Abrams amazing. I'm so excited for this." I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, J.J. sucks. I can't believe he got the job." And of course, I've heard a lot of people say, "You can't have both theories. That's not fair." I'm somewhere in the middle of all of it. I find it odd that he has both. I do find it odd. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But it is kind of odd, and I wish that they'd have found someone else, because I'm worried that the series are... I don't want the series...
I wish they were more spread out.
Yeah. I wish the series... I'm worried that it'll make the series too similar.
Exactly. I hope they don't bleed into each other, kind of. Like...
It would have been nicer to see someone else who... even if they're of similar talent to JJ, but they'll come from a different perspective, and that's... I don't want the series to be the same.
Or maybe if JJ had been done with Star Trek. If he had finished what he was doing with Star Trek.
Maybe.
Like, it's just...
I mean, it's better than having George Lucas do it. But
I mean, because, when I think about it, who would I want to direct it? Like, I really can't think of anybody that I think would make a good Star Wars movie. I can't think of anybody that would make my Star Wars movie.
The issue is... the directors that I would peg for any of these jobs already have some other type of commitment under their belt. If I would peg JJ, which I wouldn't, but many people would, he already has Star Trek. I could peg Joss Whedon, but he has Avengers. I could peg Zack Snyder, but he has Man of Steel. They all have these projects that either are or have the possibility to be big franchises.
And yeah, like, no time left.
And the great directors that I'd love to see make a Star Wars movie, Quentin Tarantino, people like that, they're more one-offs directors. They're people who have their own very unique style, but I wouldn't want to see own a franchise, per se. Like, I want to see Quentin Tarantino do a Star Wars film. I want to see that.
A Star Wars film.
But I don't think he should do all three, because it wouldn't fit with the style of the numbered movies. Yeah. He'd be great for having one sort of random one-off Star Wars film that's crazy and insane.
Like, yeah, let Quentin Tarantino do the spin-offs.
The great thing about the spin-offs is that it allows us to take in directors who have very unique styles and let them into this universe and make really interesting products. That's why I think Zack Snyder was the perfect person to announce for the first one, because he has that very unique visual style and a lot of pomp and a lot of flamboyance to his movies that with Star Wars could be a lot of fun.
I agree.
But I'm not sure who I would pen to be the director, but my issue with J.J. Abrams is that I don't think he's awful or anything. I thought that the new Star Trek reboot, while it had issues, I thought it was really good, and I'm very excited for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Woohoo! As am I.
I thought, especially for the characterization, established it well. The action just wasn't... The action and the set pieces like that just weren't very interesting to me. If that makes sense.
In the first one?
In the Star Trek.
Yeah.
So, and his visual style, I don't want to see in Star Wars. I don't want to see lens flares everywhere and...
Yeah.
Which he has that distinct style, so it's most likely that we are going to see it. The thing is, George Lucas's visual style and J.J. Abrams's are very different. George Lucas has a very static visual style.
Just chill.
Like that doesn't have a lot of movements with the camera, but it has a lot of stuff going on screen.
Within the scene.
J.J. Abrams likes doing a lot of different stuff with the camera and with the motion and everything like that. And they just don't mix very well. So
Star Wars could get dizzy.
Basically. So we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is. I'm just a little nervous about that. But my thinking about this is, to wrap it all up, is I don't think it'll be... I think that it'll be hard-pressed to be on par with any of the original trilogy, or even close, because they are, especially 4 and 5, are so good and so well made. I'd like to see Disney try, though. I don't want them to just make Star Wars movies to make Star Wars movies. I'd like to see them have some cool stuff behind them. The spin-offs, I'd like to see them have the idea of, let's make some interesting stuff with this great universe and these great types of characters. And I'd like to see the 7, 8, and 9 be, let's delve deeper into this great philosophy and story that we have. Let's see how much more we can do with this. And let's actually make it a little more complex and a little deeper, and not in let's add politics way.
Yeah, the prequels.
The prequels had so much they could have done right, and they didn't.
Like, the stories were there to be told in the prequels. They just got... Ugh.
They messed them up.
Messed them up with all the politics. It wasn't...
They messed them up with all the politics, the fact, the characterization. The focus of the prequels was the action, and that was bad. Bad George Lucas.
I don't know. I'm ready to see what someone else is going to try with.
Yeah.
You know, like, because, I mean, George Lucas wasn't doing anything with it now. Like,
he was sitting on it.
Let's see what happens.
So we'll see. I'm hoping
it's in capable hands.
I'm hoping it's really good. I really do. I really want to love it. I want to love Star.
Oh man, like
I want to love Star Wars again.
I still love Star Wars, but I'm scared for it and excited at the same time.
That it's weird. It's a very weird feeling.
Scared and excited, like I hear these news things, and I'm like,
because
wee-hoo.
I think both of us thought Episode 3 was the end.
Yeah, oh yeah, everyone.
Yeah, mainly because George Lucas said it was the end.
It was the end, and you know, our hopes were dashed, kind of.
Yeah,
and
because
then
George
with the
Lucas,
acquisition, it's been reignited my hopes.
It's something that I never expected to happen.
It blew my mind.
Yeah,
like
I never expected to be at a place again where I could say, another Star Wars movie, another big numbered major Star Wars movie
that George Lucas didn't direct. That is crazy. That blows my mind.
After the prequels, it's crazy. It's important to remember that he did not direct episodes 5 or 6. He directed episode 4, but after how long the process was of directing 4, he was like, I'll let someone else direct 5 and 6.
I'm too old for this.
So, it'll be very interesting to see. The one thing I will say about JJ before we go, he is a little more of an active director. He, not in the sense necessarily that he goes up to each actor and it'd be like, ready to shake him up, and stands them where he wants them.
Get into the scene!
Yes. But he uses a lot of sets. He'll reutilize things. He'll, the big thing about his camera motion is the fact that when he's there, he's still, he wants to be in a location, it seems. Like, they created the full sets for Star Trek. For some of the sets where they're running around the ships, they actually went to real places. They didn't build sets. They reutilized actual buildings
Oh, hell yeah.
for the sets. And the prequels, when George Lucas did them, most of the movie, he was sitting on a chair, watching a green screen.
Oh, yeah. Like...
So, the biggest thing that I think JJ can bring to it is
Is real.
Is realness.
Props.
An activity. Which is... There are a lot of dogs running around now. So we're going to end that discussion off there. And once the dogs are done, we're going to go into our bad stories. All right, everybody. Welcome to our bad story segment, where we talk about some of the worst stories of the week that make us weep for humanity.
Why?
Ooh. And, in keeping with our longer episode format this week, we each, instead of having 2 stories we bring to the table, we each have 4.
Quattro.
You get a lot of content this week because we messed up last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I start this week.
That you do.
So... my first story, a 2nd grader in Loveland, wherever Loveland is, was reportedly suspended for having an imaginary weapon.
Humana what?
Humana, yes. A 2nd grader, a 7-year-old Mary Blair, or from Mary Blair Elementary School, doesn't understand why she got in trouble when she was trying at recess to save the world from evil. So essentially what happened is this little kid was at recess, as 2nd graders do. She was running around the playground playing with her friends, and she had some sort of imaginary weapon she was using to fight off evil, as second graders do.
As I did.
Now, it looks like, according to the story, that the kid threw a pretend grenade, trying to blow up a box with something that had an enemy in it.
She threw an imaginary object.
I don't know if she even threw an object. I think she might have just had a fake grenade in her hand, an imaginary one, air.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She threw an imaginary object.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like she was making a gun sign.
She might have been making a gun sign. I don't know.
Okay.
Still, the point is nothing. It wasn't real. It wasn't real.
She wasn't packing heat.
Yes, there was no actual grenade there. She wasn't. Here's what it says exactly.
But how many imaginary lives were lost?
Yeah, I think one.
Well, that could be grounds for suspension.
Here's what the rules that are laid out in Mary Blair Elementary School's handbook, supposedly. There are a list of absolutes that are posted on the school's website that are aimed at making Mary Blair a quote-unquote safe environment. Included in these absolutes are no physical abuse or fighting, real or play, which means don't beat each other up, which I can understand that rule. Let's not have fake wrestling, I guess. Where kids are on the ground I'm gonna kill you, and they're pretending they're in the heat of battle or whatever. And if they're actually hurting each other, I can see not doing that. But if they're just playing oh, I'm Frodo and you're who is someone else from Lord of the Rings?
I'm a wizard.
Yeah. I'm Harry Potter and you're Voldemort, and we're gonna.
There we go. Yeah.
There's something. There's a good one. That's fine. Let them play. If they're actually beating each other up, if they're actually hurting each other, then yeah, stop it.
Exactly. If there's actual violence taking place, physical violence.
And the no weapons rule covers both real and play weapons. So they're not allowed to have a fake gun, a pop gun or something like that, or one of the fake, a fake Transformers gun or something. But the policy does not, however, prohibit imaginary weapons, things that aren't real in any way, shape, or form.
Non-existent.
But the superintendent said individual schools are permitted to add enhancements to the general student code of conduct.
Enhancements.
It was a local policy that has been taken too far. And the worst part of it is the district said they don't discuss disciplinary issues.
What?
So they're not discussing this with the news, essentially. Anything more than you can find out on the website.
So, we're just going to do what we please here. You can't bring imaginary weapons to school. I want to know how it all went down. If the girl went up and said, hey, I just killed all these imaginary friends over there with my imaginary grenade or what? Or if someone saw her doing it and was like, what are you doing? Because I would just be I was throwing a ball.
Well, no, the thing is, the kid wouldn't see anything wrong with it. He's
Well, yeah,
playing.
that's what I mean.
If you were high school or something and for some reason someone goes up to you, did you throw something imaginary? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I was trying to play ball. But as a second grader, it's what's the problem with that? You don't see anything wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I'd like to be there when they read that rule. No imaginary weapons here. Or no, you can have imaginary weapons. They can't have fake weapons.
You can't use them. You can't use your imaginary weapons.
You can bring your imaginary weapons to school, but if we see them being used, you're suspended.
There's an imaginary conceal and carry law there.
Oh, that's what it is.
But they're not allowed to use them on school
That's
grounds.
what it is.
Now, apparently, this kid had been in trouble before, not for imaginary weapons, but because he'd accessed other students' reading accounts, at schools, at my elementary school that I just graduated from last year. They had AR accounts where they'd use your account, your student name and your account number for the school, and you could go and you could take tests and stuff like that. My guess is that
he was trying to mess people up.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a way to. My guess is either he was trying to play a prank, or what I think is more likely, It's a smart kid that other kids were like, hey, can you take this test for me?
Oh, yeah, that's probably what it was. He's read all the books in the library, so, hey, go take all these tests for me. Yeah.
So it's, but we obviously don't know about that, so. But, his parent had never been informed of him being violent or anything like that. So if he was, it obviously wasn't a big enough deal to call the parents, which I have a feeling he wasn't.
Like, if I got a call about my child having an imaginary weapon at school, then they're being suspended, I would probably take my real weapon up there and be like, hey guys, this is what kills people. Now,
I was worried that story was about to take a turn for the worse there.
No, I wouldn't kill them. I would show them, this is what kills people, assholes.
With the barrel pointed at their face, right? This is what kills.
Yes, exactly. You know? And then I would hand it to my daughter and say, run along, I need to talk to the adults.
So, the school's rule is that the student is allowed 2 non-severe, non-suspension occurrences. But the
Strikes,
essentially. But the third strike means you're suspended. And apparently his third strike was throwing an imaginary grenade, what I believe is at recess, because he was saving the world, quote unquote, and that's not something you do during math class.
It's just so messed up that he was actually like saving the world too, and he's getting in trouble.
Yeah, because the kid said that, or his mom said, he was very confused because he didn't understand why he was being punished for trying to save the world.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Firstly, that's insanely cute.
They have scarred that kid now because he's never going to want to save the world again. Like, fuck the world. That's what happens if I get suspended. Fuck the world. God, poor kid.
He turns into Marilyn Manson.
We shall see.
Oh my. But it's these type of stories that make me ask, why are the public schools that we're funding with our money, taxpayer dollars, why are they spending time punishing kids for imaginary weapons instead of, finding better ways to teach the kids?
I agree.
Why? And that there's actually another story that happened recently that almost made it onto this episode if this one hadn't occurred. A girl was suspended for bringing a Hello Kitty bubble gun to class.
Wow.
It was a little looked like one of those big fat little zapper things. That you might have seen in like a
womp, womp.
Buzz Lightyear cartoon or something. It was pink, had Hello Kitty painted on the side, and it had like the little bubble thing at front where you press it and bubbles come out. No one's mistaking that for a real weapon. Nobody. And you want to know why? Because there's Hello Kitty on the side. And it's being held by a little 5-year-old. If somehow there's a 5-year-old holding a real gun with Hello Kitty painted on the side,
that's reason for concern.
Yes, that's a big reason for concern.
That's when you turn around and run away.
But when it's a bubble gun, that's nothing. That's not deal for punishment. At worst, that's, hey, you can't have these here. Take it away for the day. Give it to the parents. Say, hey, you need to make sure they don't bring these. At most.
Exactly.
At most. This is what we're wasting our tax dollars on.
Punishing children.
Punishing children for bringing bubble guns and imaginary weapons to school. Yeah. With Hello Kitty painted on the side to save the world. Jesus. Anyways, try and beat that.
Well, I'll keep it in the vein of schools and students.
Oh, joy. Should change the title now.
Let's see, we got...
I see the title from here on your screen.
Okay.
And I'm very concerned.
There's in Los Angeles, it was a Los Angeles County High School. They were having like their Spirit Week, I'm sure everyone knows what the Spirit Week.
Let's go, rah, let's go.
Spirit Week at school where you like do fundraising for kind of like a Make-A-Wish, like a person that needs like transplants, Make-A-Wish Foundation. Anyways, it's charitable foundation.
Yeah,
you're raising money all week for that.
Like for example, when I was in school, they had Heisman Week, which
we had Duck Week.
helping excel and so whatever it was called.
Yeah,
and it's for a good cause. People they like have it where every day of the week you dress up as something.
Yeah,
they have like a sporting event or something,
a student
student faculty, a cool assembly,
game or something like that.
Things where they're designed to raise money to help either a student in need or more often than not. The Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
They adopt a kid or two, and they raise money to help them.
So that's what's going on here at Los Angeles County High School. It's during their Spirit Week, and students were participating in a game of tug of war.
Nothing too bad there.
Nothing too bad
there. They weren't like tugging on their penises, were they?
No, they weren't. They were tugging on just a regular old rope. And
as people do during tug of war.
Tug of war.
There weren't spikes on this rope or anything.
There was no performance-enhancing drugs, in this. Like, no one was cheating, no one was doping.
They didn't have, like, machetes at the back, so...
Exactly. Like,
if there was a pit, it didn't have, like, sharks in the pit.
So, and they're doing it for a good cause, too. Yeah. They're fundraising for a cancer child.
Now, I'm going to stop you right there. Do any of you see a problem with this so far? No, because there's no problem with it so far. It's a tug-of-war game for charity.
So,
ain't no thing.
As the game continues, the battle ensues. The war ensues over the tug.
Wait, did they have real or imaginary weapons during this war? They had a rope.
They had a rope. The rope is the weapon.
They should have all been suspended because they had real weapons there.
This is what happened.
That's not a safe environment.
We got tugging, both sides of the rope. The rope snaps.
As ropes do.
2 students end up losing. One girl loses 4 fingers on one hand. Another guy loses all his fingers on another hand.
How the hell does that happen when a rope snaps?
Instantly, decapitation, severed fingers of their fingers.
What?
Police, after analyzing the situation, they say nothing wrong was really happening. They think it happened because these 2 students had the rope tied around their fingers.
Oh.
And so, like, the pressure of when it broke, something happened. Because I know if you break all the strings on a guitar all at once, your neck breaks. The guitar neck will break. It will snap your guitar in half. So, I think all of that twine and stuff breaking and just going... just straight sliced their fingers off. They were rushed right away to do to San Gabriel Valley Tribune and to try to get the fingers reattached.
Wait, the what was it called?
Oh, somebody told I read that
They
wrong.
rushed into the newspaper office to attach their fingers.
They went to L.A. County USC Medical Center.
Okay,
and
I was about to say they rushed after.
She spoke to the Tribune.
After their fingers were cut off, they were rushed to the newspaper office.
Little did they know that all journalists are very good at surgery.
They rushed them to the Daily Post.
They rushed them to the Daily Post. Peter Parker tried to come down and put their fingers back on, and it didn't work. There's no update yet on whether or not the surgeries were successful.
They should have taken him to Clark Kent.
So, try to help a cancer patient out and get your fingers cut off.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Okay, I will say the school did nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
Something awful happened, and they rushed to the hospital. How does rope sever fingers?
I have no clue. That blows my mind. Rope is in no way a knife, a blade.
Knives sever fingers. Lasers sever fingers.
I could see even a whip cutting you. But a rope cutting fingers off during tug of war. Are these kids, like, superhuman? Like...
I feel so bad for these kids. It's not
and
even...
one of them, the guy was a football player, so I mean, there goes that. And I can't remember what it said she was, but
she was a hand model, so she can't do that. So that ruined that. Thanks, rope.
Yeah, man.
Never helping charity. That's what I get for helping charity.
Yeah, that's that. Tug of war gone wrong. Tug of war gone very wrong.
Ropes? I don't want to touch rope anymore.
The school hasn't said if it will cancel future tug of war games.
Why? They don't. Oh god.
Oh, there's gonna be a ban on tug of war.
Oh my god. Rope severing not even one finger for 4 and 5. What?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
They got the bad end of the deal there. Like,
No, really, their fingers are gone.
I mean, they tried to put him back on, but I don't know if they actually got him back on or not.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty got pulled by rope and severed his head.
Oh, poor kids. But yeah, there's that.
It's rope!
Yeah.
It is rope!
It's not like they were playing tug of swords, you know?
Tug of swords. I would expect to have fingers cut off if you're pulling on a blade on a sword.
No, it's not like they were playing tug of swords, tug of butcher knives, tug of...
Okay, also tug of swords. A tug of swords sounds like some sort of sexual innuendo. You can tug on my sword, baby. Bounce with me, bounce with me, bounce with me, baby.
I'm about to swatch that buckle. About to slosh that buckle. Anyways,
Moving on.
what do you got?
You probably heard of this one. You might even have this one as one of yours. It was big news. A diner thinks that saying he's a pastor allows him to stuff a waiter on their tip.
What?
So, someone was eating at a restaurant. Firstly, the whole system of restaurants where the worker relies pretty much entirely on their tip to get on in life, that's stupid. At least pay them minimum wage, and the tip should be something additional for really good service. It shouldn't be something people feel forced to do. It should be, if this person does really awesome job, you give them something extra.
And I'm not your employer.
Yeah.
I'm just eating here. You know?
Yeah, I'm fine. Add it into the bill. Add it into the actual meal prices.
Yeah.
But don't put their salary on me. Pay them what they actually deserve to make.
Yes.
And then if they do a really great job, I'll give them something extra.
Exactly.
It should not be something where you feel forced to do it.
Which is almost all the time how it feels.
Because they don't get to eat that night. If they don't get tips, that's how they make their money, is tips, essentially. Which is stupid, but moving on from that. So, there's a big group of people. There was a table of 20 people eating at a restaurant, and they're getting their various bills. And apparently at this restaurant, for parties 8 and over, and you're nodding your head that this is true, they add in
20%?
18%.
Yep.
For this one, they automatically add that into the bill. You don't have to pay it, but that's what, right? Do you have to pay it?
It's pretty much expected that you're going to pay that.
I think
because they put it on there.
Okay, it's an annuity that is automatically added to the bill. You can add more if you want, but
if you want.
But due to their service, and they're serving so many people, they automatically add in a certain amount of money that you pay for a tip. And in the case of this story, it was 18% for a group of 20 people. Apparently, they didn't split the check equally. Each person got their own check. So for one of the checks, it had the tip marked out, and the total without the tip put on there. Additional tip 0. And here's what it said on the tip: I give God 10%. Why do you get 18? On the check.
Oh my god!
They crossed out the tip, gave 0 tip, and said, I give God 10%. Why should I give you 18? And this was at an Applebee's, and this blew up. Thanks to social website Reddit, this became national news that this pastor was such a dick.
I mean, if I'm the waiter, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I'm not even going to go there because that's going to hit a sour note with a lot of people. So, Continue.
Oh, I want to hear this.
I'm just saying, I would just say, you give God 10%, why should I give you 18%? Because, bitch, I just served you fucking food
Yeah.
to keep you alive. When was the last time he fucking came down from the fucking heavens and served you anything?
It's...
My bad.
Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the tip system. I think it should just be put into the bill. It is a service that you're going to pay for. It shouldn't be something that you feel like threatened, like, how much should I give? I don't know, how much should I give? Put it in the bill.
Yeah, because the employer should pay for the minimum wage at least.
Yeah.
And then I'm paying for your service. Like, you're on top of, going beyond your job.
If you go above and beyond the call of duty,
then I'm like, hell yeah, I got your back.
It's like, this person did really good. I'm going to give them an extra $5.
But I don't think I should have to pay you to do your job because I'm not there for your job. I'm there for the product.
Yeah, that should be put into the money we spend.
Deliverable. I'm there for the deliverable.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Deliverable, everybody. It's a great word.
This offends me on so many levels. First, one thing I am almost always enraged by are when I see pictures of people who leave what looks like a tip, but actually it's a fake bill.
Or a ripped one. Or it's like just maybe a fourth of a bill underneath a receipt. I've seen
No,
that.
not that. That's awful. That really happens?
I've seen that, yeah.
What you would... Why?
But, so then they pick the ticket up and there's just like a corner of a bill. And that... cool.
That's rude. That'll enrage me too. But the thing that enrages me every time I see it are when people don't leave a tip and instead they leave what looks like a bill. You pick it up, it's a Jesus dollar, where it has on there, give yourself to the Holy Spirit, it will provide for you. It has a Bible verse or something. Come to this church. Now, if they put that in with a regular
real money,
tip, yeah, I don't have an issue. But if they have it's never like, oh, it's $1. It's never $1 or something where it's like, oh, okay, it's $1. It wasn't that exciting anyway. That's always like a $50, $100 fake bill. Because God gives you so much wealth in your life. That is rude. That is offensive. Knock it off.
That's just a dick move.
That's a huge dick move.
I have nothing wrong with spreading your faith.
Don't
in proper context. Do it politely. Don't be a dick about it.
Even if you're gonna say, even if you're gonna put that with your waiter, firstly, don't bother your waiter with that. That's like hitting on the bartender. They don't need that. They're doing their job. Get them when they're at home. Get them when they're out having fun. Get them when they're in a good mood, not when they're trying to do their job. Don't bother them with that. Then it's just a bad idea in general to do that. But especially when you're not leaving a real tip with it. And this is just rude, because essentially this person is saying, I give money to God, why are you better than God? It's not saying, they're not saying they're better than God, they're saying, I provided a service to you.
I'd like some money.
Yes.
you know
so I can eat and live.
Like.
And have a house. And maybe have some actual fun in my life. Because I'm here to make a living. I'm not here to hear about the gospel. If I want to hear about that, I'll go to a church on Sunday. I'll go to a Wednesday service. I'll look at it online. I'll look at something like that.
Exactly.
When the Mormons stop by, I'll be like, oh, hey, come in, talk.
No. No.
Well, you don't do that. If you wanted to hear about it, if they stop by, you'd be like, oh, come in.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't want to hear that when you're doing your job. And this whole thing enraged me. So the atheism subreddit on Reddit blew this up, obviously, for the obvious reasons. And it started becoming a national story. So the Applebee's that this happened at fired the waiter.
The girl.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
To start, the woman who got this given to her didn't give any names out, though people did find out and started posting information. And the worst thing is, first they found the wrong person and started posting their information. Ooh. So that person had to go up and say, hey, this isn't me. Stop posting my information everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do that. It's a dick move, but don't start spreading his stuff.
Yeah.
Don't sink to that level. He didn't rape a kid. He didn't.
No, he was just a dick.
He was a dick.
Yeah.
Let him.
Make your comment about him.
Yeah.
And let that be it. That's all he did. He made a dick comment.
Don't ruin his life. Hope that through this media attention, him and even more so others that would think about doing something like this might change their view.
Yes.
Don't spread his information.
Because all you're doing is being a dick.
Putting another dick. You're being a dick back.
Yes.
And you're doing more damage than he did here.
Yes.
But the Applebee's fired her. After that, she made sure not to show the Applebee's, not to show his name. And it enrages me that the company cares more about their image of being quote unquote polite to customers than actually providing their workers with the treatment they deserve. And when they bring something like this to light in the best way possible, without showing any names, without giving any stuff like that, you fire them. That is an even bigger dick move.
Yeah. Like, it's just the dick effect. Pretty much. Like, dicks everywhere being dicks. And it's not good.
In related vagina news. But it's... Oh my lord. It enrages me so much.
So not only does this girl not get a tip, she loses her job
But she gets a lot of media publicity, so hopefully the amount of publicity she got from this story will allow her to have enough until she finds a new job.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll be fine, I guess.
I hope. I don't think that people should throw thousands and thousands of dollars at her or anything.
Oh, no.
Like they did with the bus monitor lady.
People just need to realize, like...
Yeah. I want her to... after she lost her job, I want her to be able to find a new job without having to worry about finances.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I want to happen. I want this story to end up good for her. That's the thing I want the most. After that, I want this to change a few people's views on tipping, both trying to change the whole system itself and not being dicks about it.
Yes. Because there's no need. Especially, this person just waited on you.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
But what would your second story be?
Let's see. I'm going to go Mothimus Prime on it.
Mothimus Prime?
Mothimus Prime.
Oh, dear Lord.
It seems like a group of researchers have decided to put a moth in the cockpit of a robot.
What?
In hopes of learning how the moth searches out smells and whatnot. It's a moth that they have on a trackball, a styrofoam trackball, and he runs trying to find the smells. And as he runs on the trackball, it controls the robot he's in. He's kind of pinned to he's stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to leave the trackball.
It's also a moth. Though,
It is
so.
But still, we're putting a moth in a robot to drive it around. Anyways,
I understand the idea of the ball and trying to get the smell and everything. Why do you need a robot? What would be wrong with just recording data on a computer?
They're hoping that... I don't know. They're hoping to make robots that can search out chemical spills and clean them up and fix the problem themselves. I didn't know moths did
Why
that,
are they
first
sending
of all.
moths for this?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know that moths cleaned up chemical spills. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I've never seen a moth in a hazmat suit. You know what I mean? I didn't see a flock of moths down in the Gulf of Mexico when that big huge oil spill happened down there. I didn't know that moths were these environmentalists. You know what I mean? Their nature kind of, but
their nature kind of.
But anyways, the researchers choose the male silk moth because of its distincting mating dance it uses to zero in on a pheromone.
So they're dancing in a robot.
They're pretty much dancing inside the cockpit of this robot to make it go find smells.
I really hope that in the control room they have Dance in the Dark just playing on loop.
Like, there is a group of very intelligent people crowded around like,
a moth and a robot.
Like a dancing moth at that. He's horny dancing moth because he smells these pheromones. And that in turn gets this robot to do what? I don't know.
You know, it's not a bad story until you explain it like that.
You know
there are a bunch of smart, sciencey people huddled around a moth and a robot who's doing a horny dance to clean up chemical smells. If you explain it like that, it turns into a very bad story.
And then they also stuck the robot in the wind tunnel, which simulated the flow of air as if the moth were flying. Like, the moth... It's just...
I believe I can fly.
Like...
It's not... I wouldn't say this is a bad story. I think that the idea of learning about how moths work that is... how moths activate. I think learning more is never a bad thing.
I don't think learning more is a bad thing.
It's the fact that it's a horny moth and a robot trying to clean up chemical spills.
That's what it is. They're arousing a moth, sticking him in a robot, and saying, go at it. Like...
And I mean, if this works and it's insanely successful in cleaning up chemical spills, I can't diss it. I can't diss it if it works. But
I mean...
It's the way you explain it.
I just think that we'd be better off employing the moths themselves. Since they already know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They already know what's going on.
I wouldn't call it a bad story, but it's very funny. It's definitely very funny.
Like, why would the aliens come down when we're doing this with moths? Like, no.
If they're doing that with moths, what are they going to do with us?
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. So that's that.
But
Optimus Prime.
My story's worse. The U.S. spy... It's been revealed that the U.S. spy operation... There's a U.S. spy operation that manipulates social media.
That doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form.
No, but it's still bad.
That is rough.
The U.S. military is developing a software that'll let it manipulate social media websites by creating fake online accounts to influence people's conversations with pro-American propaganda.
Pretty much propaganda accounts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, reading straight from the story again, a Californian corporation has been awarded a contract with the United States Central Command, CENTCOM, which oversees U.S. armed operations in the Middle East and Central Asia, to develop what is described as an online persona management service that will allow one U.S. serviceman or woman to control up to 10 separate identities all over the world.
Almost like, it's kind of like they're just doing online social media subliminal messaging.
Basically. And I guess it's going to be to try to find information too, because all of America's enemies are going to be blabbing about what they're doing on Facebook. Yeah. Be blabbing about their secrets. Meet someone on Yahoo Messenger or Skype. Be like, ASL, China 27. So, what do you do for a living? Oh, dude, I'm part of the Chinese Secret Service, dude!
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, so what are you up to? I'm not sure I can tell you. I'll show you my tits. Oh, dude, these are all our secrets!
You got that Al-Qaeda meeting last night? Yeah, that was the shit.
I can see some tits today! So, I'm pretty sure they're not doing it for those reasons. Because if they think China is that stupid, we've already lost. If they think they're that stupid.
Like...
But my issue with this is, can we stop with pro-American propaganda? We've had this for years now, and I understand the military needing their, I want you to join the U.S. military, and there are commercials like that. It's not, in a government by the people for the people, it's not fair to try and influence the people in unfair ways.
Well, I mean, what does it say about your country when you're making fake people to endorse it?
Yeah.
That's bad.
Fix your country instead.
You know what I mean? If you were pleasing enough of your own citizens, we would be on there just saying those things.
What they should be spending their money on instead is creating websites or people or ways to get out information about the government that maybe people don't understand. Like, on, say, the abortion issue. The government should have an interest in disseminating between the correct and incorrect information concerning abortion and stem cell research and things, and getting that information out to people. Same with all of that. The government should have an invested interest in the truth, but it doesn't. It has an invested interest in politics.
Propaganda.
And that's sickening. That is absolutely sickening. And it needs to stop. And the first thing that needs to stop is them trying to make fake accounts to influence your opinion.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that we didn't have enough people, saying that our country is that great anyways.
We already have people. We already have plenty of real people trying to influence that. We don't need fake ones.
Wow. That's sad.
What I want to see is if these things do start up, and they are these fake personalities on Facebook going around adding people and being like, "Oh yeah, go America." I want to see Facebook strike right back and say, "Our terms of service say you're not allowed to do this, bitch. Get out."
Yes, exactly.
I want to see Facebook v. government. I want to see Google and Facebook and all them versus the government.
Someone would get very hurt.
Oh yeah.
So someone would get very hurt in that battle.
Silicon Valley versus the United States government. Because this could be something that could lead to a Supreme Court case. I can see this becoming if it goes in the direction I think it's going to go, this could very easily become a big Supreme Court case.
In a way, like, to a larger extent, in a way, when it comes to, like, patriotism, it's kind of almost like cyberbullying. Like, that seems like what they're doing, like, kind of, as well. Cyberbullying. Like, only as American, like, patriots. Like,
yeah. And here's another thing that it says it's going to do. Dang it, where'd it go? Dang it, screen recalibration.
damn, looks kind of passive.
Marty, we gotta hit 88. Dang it, I don't know where it went. Essentially what it was saying is it can work for certain classified things to also work in other countries and other foreign language websites to spread pro-American propaganda.
What is wrong? Why? That is such a just not cool thing.
Your mission should not be going onto a Chinese website and spreading pro-American propaganda. It should be getting China to stop their stupid regulations on it.
I mean, let's not even bother other countries. Like, we have very wrong things happening here. Let's fix these.
Let's fix those first, and then when those are all fixed,
we'll all cheer about it, and
then we can go trying to make the rest of the world better again.
Yes, like,
and I'm not saying, and no wars or shit like that. I'm not trying to say America is the greatest thing ever. We can fix everything or whatever, like some people would. And no, we're not. There are some things that we're really good at. There are some things we're really bad at, and most things we're right in the middle. But there are some things that, in tandem with other countries, we could make better. That is what I'm saying. And once we fix the problems here, we might be able to go and try and make freer internet in other countries and things like that. How about we try doing that instead of spreading pro-American propaganda? How about that, America? So what's your next story?
Let's see. I'm going to take it out of America.
Put it in China?
Go over to Japan.
Oh, okay.
A wealthy... a replica of the Renaissance sculpture David, which we all know, the nude dude standing like a boss,
Nude dude standing all cool.
So, anyways, a very wealthy guy around a wealthy businessman donated a 16-foot tall marble replica of the Michelangelo's statue of David.
Okay. It doesn't seem bad so far.
No, it's a well respected and an admired piece of art for, hundreds of years.
Kind of silly to have a replica at all, in my opinion. But
exactly.
I don't. But there's no real issue there.
Yeah.
If you want to have a replica of David, have a replica of David.
Yeah. So
you're wealthy. Do what you want.
So he puts it in.
Get a statue.
Okuzumo, which is in Japan, I'm assuming.
I figured that much.
Okuzumo.
The story about things in Japan, the city is in Japan.
Since it's been put up, citizens in this town are outcrying because they are offended by its penis. Oh they want the statue to have underwear. They demand underwear from Michelangelo's David.
And I thought it was just America that was uptight about sex.
No. Obvious. And I mean, I thought they were pretty, graphic over there.
Tentacle porn and
that whole hentai thing. But
the weird thing about Japan is that they have this very extreme animated porn, but all their real porn, they have the penises and the vaginas censored out.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, there's a great picture online where it's at... No, it's not like that.
No. I'm just thinking stupid things in my head about why they're blurred out, but...
they have...
And why they're so huge in hentai.
There's a great picture, and it has America, and it has a picture of a rooster and a cat. And then it has, underneath that, Japan, and it has the same two pictures, but they're blurred out.
That's funny.
If you get this, you watch too much porn.
Like...
But I always thought that was more of a government thing than a culture thing. And maybe it's just because I'm a ignorant American. I always thought they were a little more... Actually, no, I didn't. That's a lie. They have their porn culture, too, and they're all secretive about it, just like us. And what country was I thinking of that was more open? It surprises me that Japan isn't more open than they are. And whenever I see their porn, it makes me think, oh, these people are pretty open.
They are pretty out of control, but then they all like...
Yeah, so I don't know which country I was thinking of, but yeah, they can be uptight about it too. I always thought it was more government, though, and that something like this wouldn't be that offensive.
I mean, you think they would just rather break it off. You know what I mean? I think that would be a better solution.
That's German. That's Germany. Get your porn nations right.
Like, I'm just ready for him to have some, like, Hello Kitty boxer briefs on. You know what I mean? Like
Sanbrio boxers.
Yes. Like... or just break it off.
But why are cultures so uptight about sex that a statue that's...
A statue that has been respected for hundreds of years...
That is literally just the human form, the thing you see every day in your bathroom, probably. We're so offended by our humanity, not even our humanity so much, just bodies, that we want to cover up something that's completely natural, that's supposed to be there, that we all know is there.
Yeah,
and it's not even that big. It's not like he has like a 20-foot monster.
I know, it's not like he's Ron Jeremy, you know what I mean?
It's not like he's holding it like trying. Like, it's not like it's a fountain where he's spraying it out of the tip.
It's not like he's in some provocative pose. I mean, he's just chilling.
Just chilling like a David.
Yeah.
It's not
Where's
like
my clothes at?
Yeah, it's not like. Yeah, it's not like it's a fountain or something where it's like dripping out of it.
You know, it's just...
That would be the best fountain ever. To have there's like two parts to the fountain. One of them is the statue of like a really hung guy who's just like spraying like a hose out of the fountain, out of the penis head, and the other one has really tiny one is just dripping. Just boop. Yeah, like boop, 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 and they're right next to each other in the fountain,
and they're like looking at each other like crossing gazes. You know what I mean? Like looking down at each other like. So yeah. The Japanese are wanting underwear on the statue of David.
Come on, people.
Yep.
Let's stop being so uptight about sex. It's not something you should be uptight about. It is... We should be more... There are so many more things we should be uptight about before sex. can we stop being uptight about our anatomy
It's
and
something
our
that we have to do to survive.
Yes.
Like,
and our most base functions? Can we stop being so uptight about those and maybe be excited about, murder and war and things like that? Because you hear on the news a story about someone dying every single day. There's always one. And you always hear about the wars going on, and people have become disassociated with them, and they're like, oh, yep, it's another war story. But whenever they hear something about sex, and if it's rape or something, you should be that way.
yeah.
But just when it's like, man masturbating in backyard, taken to jail for masturbating in backyard, that shouldn't happen. Like, there was the story I was telling you about the other day, about the man who was in his kitchen, and he was just standing there naked, as you might do in your kitchen. Some people cut through his backyard. An adult and their young kid. The young kid sees the naked man in all his fleshy glory, and she's so offended that she sues the guy who they trespassed on for being naked in their presence.
That just blows my mind. I would turn around and countersue you for trespassing. Be like, what are you doing here?
It's
That's appalling. It's appalling.
stupid people breeding stupid people.
So what you got next?
I've got a Debbie Downer.
Okay.
You ready to hear this title?
Yeah.
Back on pastors again. Everything comes around. Pastor claimed his penis had been anointed with the Holy Spirit divine semen and raped his faithful. From m24digital.com. I just want to read this. I just want to read this straight. Sobrino Valdeci Picanto, 59, was arrested in Apore, Goiás, Brazil, for raping several women attending his church. He gave as an excuse that his penis had been consecrated with divine semen from the Holy Spirit.
Like, it's... What he says is funny, but what he did is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And disgusting. Like...
A 23-year-old young woman who prefers to remain anonymous. I wonder why. I don't... Yeah, I don't have any problem with a rape victim remaining anonymous. I really don't. I think names in journalism should be used as much as possible. But when you're the victim of rape, we can keep you anonymous. Just, that's fair to you.
Yeah.
He has convinced us that only God could come into our lives through the mouth. Often after worship, Pastor Valdeci, I'm guessing is how you pronounce it, take us to some of the funds back to the church and ask us to do oral sex on him until the Holy Spirit comes through ejaculation. Valdeci came to abuse some elderly and defends himself by saying that he had an encounter with Jesus in a brothel. And Jesus gave him the mission of spreading the sacred semen throughout the state, beginning with the faithful Apore assembly of which he was responsible. According to the pastor, you have in your hands the servant of the Lord and do not regret it yet. I hope to continue my wonderful job within the prison.
Oh my Lord!
Denise Pinheiro, delegate of the region, said Valdeci was caught red-handed while rubbing his penis in the face of a local merchant, which promised to make more sales in her business due to the divine liquid. When we act, Valdeci offered no resistance and even asked if I wanted to be a part of the kingdom of heaven on the way to the police station. He is not ashamed of such acts and thinks they are the most normal thing in the world. Valdeci posted bail and was released.
Beginning of the story, I was thinking this guy is just like using his religion and God as a scapegoat, kind of.
This guy is insane.
This guy really does believe that his dick is blessed.
Apparently.
He thinks he is King Dingaling. Like, wow.
what he's done is extremely sickening and disgusting.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, past the rape stuff, he really does believe.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god!
And the thing is,
And he believes he saw Jesus in a brothel.
The thing is, if this story wasn't so tragic, it would be hilarious.
That's what I'm like.
Like, take the rape out of the story.
Yes, that's what I
Take any non-consensual acts with this guy and turn it into some sort of Monty Python comedy.
like.
This sort of story sounds like it'd be hilarious. And as the comments show, there's so much humor material. Of course, the classic, it gives the new phrase coming to Jesus. Let's make it his favorite song is probably "Oh Come All You Faithful." And there's so many, like, if this story wasn't tragic, it's the start of a comedy. That's what's so...
Like, I mean, he says he ran into Jesus at the
In a
House of the
brothel.
Rising Sun.
Like, it sounds like this would be... It sounds like this is like a comedy sort of poking fun at, like, Hugh Hefner or someone.
Like, this sounds like... I don't know.
Yeah, like, it sounds like...
Running into God at a brothel, that sounds like something that would happen on Family Guy.
Yeah, it sounds like this would be the start of, like, a Hustler parody. Where it's like, some guy is this really straight-laced individual... And then his friends, for his bachelor party, wherever he's about to get married, they take him out to a brothel, and they're like, you don't have to do anything, but we're going to have a good time. Although in this story, probably more likely to be like a stripping thing. And the whole basis of the comedy is that he meets Jesus there, and he's like, spread my wealth. Spread my wealth. And it starts off, and he starts like a porn empire about it. And that could be really funny. But this story is so tragic.
But this dude did some
It's
messed
so-
up things.
Yeah, does that not sound like the start of what could be a comedy?
Yes.
The pastor claimed his penis had been anointed with the Holy Spirit divine semen.
So, I'm wondering if God fucked him up the ass or whatever. How did he get that?
It's the start of a comedy.
You know
It's the
what?
start of a George Carlin routine.
All I have to say about this is comical, but then you get back to what he did.
Then you get back to
What he did.
to the fact that there's a crazy person who's raping
people.
other people who are only interested in making their lives better and, in what looks like most cases, being faithful to the person that they think is watching over them 24/7.
It seems like this guy needs to be in a mental institution
Yes.
instead of a prison, probably.
I mean, the fact is he raped them and he should be off the streets.
Yes.
But the other fact is that this is if he actually believes this,
He
he's
doesn't
crazy.
need to go back onto the streets, ever.
And the fact that he was so upfront about, I'm going to spread it through prison.
through prison, like, he believes it.
Now, I don't know if prisons of Brazil aren't known for prison rape like they are here, but
I mean, I wouldn't think so.
like we're so bad about that here. That's something that needs to stop. They need to actually enforce I should not have to say, let's stop prison rape. It just shouldn't happen.
That shouldn't be an issue. You would think that,
If a prisoner rapes another prisoner,
someone would be there to stop that.
yes. Instead, we have prisons set up so idiotically that most of the time, the people watching the prison, they'll just look the other way. Because there's nothing they can do. Oh my god. But the story makes me so sick, both for the act itself and the fact that I don't know if this guy is a sleazebag that I want to punch in the face or a crazy idiot who I want to punch in the face.
I don't like this guy at all. Like, I want...
And I said we'll stop talking about pictures, but even from the picture I can't really tell because he looks like so smug and it's like a gotcha. But from what he said, I don't know.
What a freak.
And what makes me most sad about this, and it's most sad about religious stories in general, is that the person doing the abuse is doing it to people who are trying to be really good people.
And are people that look up to you.
Yes.
To look up to that person. Like,
They're people who are trying to do what they believe is the right thing. Whether it...
and you're... I mean,
It's
at
such
first
a
I thought he
hard
was bending it, but I
story.
mean, he believes he's doing this for the good of God. I mean, it's so wrong on many levels.
The fact that something like this can happen for something that doesn't have any evidence behind it is so... It enrages me. The fact that we've put so much weight behind something that's... a lot of people are even saying probably isn't true. That this can happen. Ugh.
That guy's disgusting. Like, that was a downer. That was a downer.
I told you it was a pretty big downer. Can we bring it up into a little more lightheartedness?
Yeah, this
a
is
lighthearted stupidity?
This is more along the lines of retardation. I'll bring up my old theme of crazy names. God bless. We got Lesia
Lesia?
Tamanatiets.
What? What?
Taumaniets. That's it. Lesia Taumaniets.
Okay, now when you first said that, I thought what it sounded like to me was Lesia Taimanatits. Unless
That's what it
you,
looks like it's spelt kind of.
which essentially is a way of saying, unless you tie my tits in a knot.
Lesia. I'm not even going to say her last name again because it's ridiculous. Lesia, Tasmanian Devil, from
Tasmanian Devil. What?
From Saransk,
Oh.
Russia. All right, Lesia's from Russia. We're leaving all the crazy words out because it's hard.
In Russia, Tasmanian Devil stands for what this is.
Allowed Rousian
Rau. Rar.
of the same last name to sign Russian over her face in gigantic Gothic script on the very first day they met.
What?
They met on a chat room and said they quickly fell head over heels in love and decided to get married. And they hadn't even met each other face to face. And right when they met each other face to face, hey, let me sign Russian on your face. I love you, baby. I love you, baby.
They're both Russian,
Will you marry me?
and he's a tattoo artist. Is that correct?
Yes. She said that as a symbol of our eternal devotion, I'd like him to tattoo every inch of my body.
Oh, dear Lord.
Which I'm not... The whole every inch of your body, that's whatever. That's crazy, cool, yeah.
The fact that she got his name on her face the first day they met.
The first day they met.
That's stupid.
That is just total stupidity. I don't care how much you love someone. I don't care. That's dumb.
Why did it have to be on the face?
On your face!
Firstly, why do you... Can we stop tattooing things on our face at all?
Well, I mean,
Can we leave...
what is wrong with her?
Can we have the face be exclusive to the eyes and mouth and nose?
And she's now learning to tattoo under his tutorship.
Well, at least she seems like she's happy. I can't fault her too terribly much if she's still enjoying it, though I have a good feeling she's going to regret it heavily.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee it. I could almost guarantee it. Which, I mean, she's kind of tattooing herself into a position where she's not going to be able to find anybody
She's
else.
tattooed
except for this
herself
guy.
into a corner.
Yes, she's tattooing herself into a corner with this guy, and great minds think alike, I guess. Great minds think alike, because his face is all tatted up as well.
Or stupid dickle horns.
Yeah, so that's that. I met you, tattoo my face. I can see the light!
Where we talk about some of the actually good stories that give us some hope in humanity after all that badness. Like people wanting to put underwear on a statue.
and fake Americans spreading propaganda.
And you start off here.
All right. I'm going to start off with, I have 3 brothers, ages of 8, 10, and 16, were kayaking in, well, where were they? Washington. They were in Washington.
They were in a river.
They were in a river, obviously. Oh, no, they were doing urban kayaking.
Is that like street hockey? Just put a boat on some wheels and go down your street.
No wheels. You just put boats at like the top of large staircases and
push them
office
down.
buildings and just...
Or like you put yourself in the fountains in front of like in the mall and stuff like that and just kayak around it. That's urban kayaking.
You don't take it to the play place at McDonald's and go down like the little slides in there?
I never have, but I don't know why. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. No, but that's not what these guys were doing. They were doing some...
Then why did we bring up the kayak?
They were doing real kayaking in a real lake. Not a real lake.
Not
a
a
real... There's no kayaking.
In a real volcano.
They were in a river in Washington.
Was it a river of lava?
I don't know.
The story doesn't specify.
No. Okay, so
it was water.
It was actual water, liquid H2O. The three brothers, 8, 10, 16. So not very old. They're kayaking by themselves, and they flip over. They start screaming, yada yada la 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 la, help us, help us, help us, because then comes some kind of like rapidish things, rapidy water, not real. Rapidash, that's a Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah.
Okay, good. So they're screaming, and
help me,
this is kind of a remote area out in the woods, middle of nowhere.
Did Superman come?
No.
Oh.
3 prison inmates came that were out on a cleaning crew, like that are out in the buses, you see on the side of the road picking up trash and stuff like that.
So they weren't murderers then, but
they weren't murderers though, but they were. They were in prison. Heard the kids, ran into the woods.
They heard that. Help me! Help me! Help me! Isn't that? I think that's a line from like The Incredibles. Like Syndrome's making fun of him. Mr. Incredible calls for help. Oh, help me! Help me! Lame, 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 lame. Now who did you contact?
So they're screaming for Lassie, all that. 3 prison inmates run to the rescue. They jump in the water.
Save the kids.
Save the kids. Take their shirts off. Wrap them around them to keep them warm. And
save the kids' lives, essentially.
Save the kids' lives.
That's awesome.
Who had capsized, and they take them back up to their camp. Blah, blah, blah.
The prisoners weren't in prison for non-violent crimes, but they were still in prison for, breaking the law for whatever reason.
It's the perfect case of showing that most prisoners aren't bad.
Because, they're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And regardless of what they did, they were still going to be in that bad situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't have to do anything.
It wasn't like there was a clause in the prison thing that said you save someone's life, you get out.
You're out. You know what I mean? So, and that's what they said. They said, we're not really heroes. We just felt like we're doing the right thing.
And I think that most people aren't bad people. And I think that things like this show that. Despite what some people want to tell you, most people aren't bad. Most people, at worst, are average, and at best, want to see good things happen to themselves and others. And I think this is one of those stories.
And it's just good to see people that we've branded as bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That society brands as bad.
That society has branded as bad. We
put them in a cage.
We put you in a cage away from everybody. You're not part of us anymore.
Yeah.
Willing to, almost risk their lives in turn to save, lives of people that don't matter to them at all.
Yeah.
Knowing that they probably weren't going to get, released for that. And they didn't, but they said we didn't expect to, and we wouldn't think that's right to, but...
I'd like to see maybe their sentence decreased.
Yes, or,
If they have a clause in there for less time with good behavior.
Yes,
I think that's very good behavior.
I think that is very good behavior. So, yeah, there's that. Some prison inmates coming to the rescue.
Now, my story, my first one, is a little old, actually. But the thing is, I didn't know about it, and it looks like a lot of people didn't know about it. So I wanted to bring it up here again because it's really awesome, and it gives me a lot of hope for the future. And I love 3D printers, and I know you do too.
Yeah. Seen it in action. I love it.
So this thing is called a chemputer, a mixture of chemistry and computer. And what this will allow, and what chemistry professor Lee Cronin is working on is a quote-unquote chemputer, which is adapted from a 3D printer, which will allow you to print any drug. And the reason this isn't in, like, the bad stories of they printed 1 billion things of crack or whatever. The reason this is in the good story is because of the possibilities this adds to medicine.
Reduce costs at pharmaceutical, like...
Imagine this. People who are diabetics and need insulin are able to just buy a printer and print their own insulin. That meaning that they don't need to get more than they need. They're able to get it when they need it. And aside from the cost up front for the printer, they'll probably be able to get it for way less in the long run.
Yeah.
Because insulin is expensive.
Yeah.
And of course, not just for diabetics, but for all sorts of other people. And if this is a 3D printer, there's a good chance for other things as well. This might work for over-the-counter ones like Advil and Tylenol.
Yeah, see, that's like what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, not only can it print the pill, it can print the bottle.
Yeah.
That's pretty
And
cool, man.
I know. And with 3D printing technology becoming more and more both cheaper and more usable each day, we're being able to... Recently, we just saw online the first vinyl record printed in 3D. So we're actually being able to print data with a printer.
Like, I could see that, like, eliminating the use for, like, the need for a pharmacist almost. Like, you have your prescription, you scan it on the machine, it makes it for you.
And I mean, there's the
go
potential for harm, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But that's true of most things.
But, I mean, yeah, with all good comes
the
some
amount
bad.
the amount of good that this would do would heavily outweigh the bad. And also, if everybody's able to print whatever drugs they want, then there's no need also for an underground drug market. So long as, like, the materials to make these drugs don't become, like, highly sought after things that you have to trade for on the black market or whatever.
As long as these devices are, like, affordable.
Yeah. Like
you
at
know,
first they won't be.
No,
obviously.
yeah.
But it's possible that in the future, 3D printers will be not too much more expensive, or even the same price as your normal printer. And the materials would be bought by, like ink, for possibly around the same prices. And the potential of 3D printers is massive. They used to say you wouldn't torrent a car. Well, yeah, if I could print one right here, I would. It makes it so that people producing products, instead of being able to corner a market and say, make it so that they're the only way you can get a product, and thus they can put out a less quality product, they're forced to make actually good products that help humanity, that either do something like either decrease world suck or increase awesome. And the focus is taken from getting a monopoly and getting an enterprise, and instead it's put back on making a good product.
That's such a cool idea.
I know. And like obviously with the torrenting thing, I don't want it to be like, oh, this means that no car people can have a job anymore. I want it to be where the people designing cars put more into, let's make this car awesome and let's make it what people want and make it better.
Quality
over monopoly.
Yes.
And I think that 3D printers, one, if they become as high quality as the aspirations are, it'll completely change the world economy. Like, the internet already has making small little changes here and there to the internet economy. But the biggest thing with the internet that makes it so it can't really change too much is the fact that it's all digital. The fact that there's still need for brick and mortar stores and things like that. The fact that Amazon has to still have warehouses and things like that. But if 3D printers get to the point that we're sort of prophesizing that they will, and we really want them to get to, the entire economy of the world is upended. We possibly have with us the end to world hunger by printing food. It's possible that if we can find a material, and they're working on this, that we can recreate an infinite amount of times, we've solved world hunger. We've solved poverty. We've solved all sorts of these things.
Crazy.
So, obviously it's not to that point yet, but being able to print medicine, that's a good step in the right direction.
That's pretty intense. That's brilliant.
And I don't understand why this didn't get the press coverage it should have. And I didn't hear about this, and I don't think most people did.
Oh, let's give this guy the Nobel Prize.
If he can make this happen, yeah, definitely.
Let's give this guy the Nobel Prize. That's legit. That is.
And he says that he made this off. He altered the computer is based on a 1,200 pound 3D printer, meaning that it's probably about $2,000, $2,000 to $2,500, which, for the first printer in history to be able to print medicine, that's pretty darn good price-wise.
That's not bad at all. Seeing as the first device to watch new movies day one in your home is $25,000
with a subscription. So it's really good, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
The possibilities are really cool for that.
Absolutely, and that's why it shows me huge shining light right there.
Awesome. All right, let's see. God bless. All right.
America, land that I love. This is not propaganda. Stand beside her.
Like, I cried. I didn't cry. I got teary, like, when I first heard this and read this, Anyways. Army Staff Sergeant Justin Gallegos was killed in Afghanistan in 2009. His son, McAden, was only 5 at that time.
Poor kid. Poor guy and poor kid. Poor family.
Yeah, exactly. And every year on January 24th, which is...
The day he died? His birthday?
His father's birthday.
Okay.
His mom and him celebrate by doing something, whether it's baking cupcakes, going out to eat.
They celebrate the family they still have.
Exactly. So, this year, McAden is 9. He wanted to do it like a little differently.
Yeah. So it's been 4 years of this.
4 years of celebrating his father's birthday this way.
Yeah.
So this year he wrote his father a letter.
That's already sad.
He wrote his father a letter that had 10 important questions on it. The questions were, what's it like in a tank? What was it like to be a scout? How old are you now? How old were you when you died? What was your favorite food? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite hobby? Activity? Jesus.
We're both already tearing up just by hearing this list.
What is it like in heaven?
Oh.
The last question is, have you seen what I've accomplished? From your son. So, but that wasn't all. He wrote that letter.
Where's the shining light part?
His mom got in contact with
military?
With the military, and an F-22 pilot said that he... well, actually, Max said that he wanted to send the letter to heaven.
Aww.
So his mother got in contact with this pilot and asked him if she would take it as high as he could, and he did. This guy flew it up and as high as he possibly could in the F-22 and ejected it for this kid, and that's just fucking awesome. That's so awesome. Like, the kid wants to do it a lot now. Like, he wants to do it every year, so.
It's just so sad.
And it happened on his father's birthday. But I mean, no. It's just so awesome. Like, the kid, like, the mother said the kid, like, when it happened, he said, I know it got to my father. Like, I don't know. Like, I just know that kid was happy. But yeah, there's that F-22 pilot is a badass. Yeah, he's a badass.
Little kid.
No, I feel so sorry for him. But that guy made his day. that guy made, like, it's a new tradition now that they're gonna do. And he loved it. Oh my god. So that was that.
You make me cry so much. And looks like I have the final one. Be hard to beat that. Promise. But my one starts off on kind of a sour note too. So there's a poor little pooch, little pit bull, that was sent to the pound after his Tennessee owner found him mounting another male dog. And because, obviously, this Tennessee person can't have a gay dog.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the issue, because the owner thought he was gay.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yep. He decided to take him to the pound and euthanize him. Because, I can't have a gay dog. And there wasn't anything else wrong with the dog, in the owner's eyes, aside from, oh, this is a gay dog. Obviously, that's not wrong, but... And, firstly, dogs and many other animals have...
They hump things.
Yeah.
Even female animals hump things.
So
I have female dogs that hump things.
Gay animals, perfectly natural, and gay actions, even without the animal being quote-unquote gay, is completely natural, too.
Just people hump things.
Yeah. Animal expert Stanley Coren said, a male mounting another male is not displaying homosexual tendencies, but is simply saying, I'm the boss around here, essentially. That it's something that they do. It's their animal instinct.
Exactly.
And even if it wasn't, even if the dogs were self-aware and going, I like male dogs, it's not bad either. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. So, he was taking the dog to be euthanized because...
He was homosexual.
He was a homophobic. Yeah, the dog was homosexual. He thought he was gay. And the owner's like, oh, no gay dogs, blah, 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 blah. Jesus all the way. I'm embellishing, but I have a feeling that's how the conversation went in his head.
But, I mean, that's a pretty good representation in my mind.
But the person at the pound heard this story, and she's like, oh, no, that's not okay. No, we gotta fix this. So, they got the word out that the dog was going to be euthanized for being gay. And it went viral.
It's not like it was a wiener dog. Anyways, they got the word out.
They got the word out on the Discovery Channel, and animal rescuers posted the dog's story on Facebook, and it just went completely viral. And luckily, the dog has been adopted, so it will not be euthanized. And I'm assuming its pro-LGBT family has adopted the dog, and they have renamed the dog Elton.
Yes! Now the only thing left is to go to that guy's house and beat his ass. Or hump him.
Or hump him.
That is what I want to do. I want to go to that guy's house and hump him.
And it's sad to me that people are so homophobic that they're not even just doing it to our species anymore.
No, we are discriminating against other animals.
And just imagine the widow puppy's face.
Like,
he's so unaware as why his master wants to kill him.
That is just
let him do what he do.
That guy needs to be humped. He needs to be humped.
Just let him do what he do. Give him a little waggle.
Dude, I would just love to just flash mob hump the hell out of that guy with like 10 guys. Just get 10 dudes to just flash mob him and just hump the hell out of him in broad daylight, in public, in Walmart.
What has to be done is they have to all of a sudden come out just doing like the West Side Story snaps.
Yeah, just the coming out all slinkily, like, you know.
But the thing is, they have to all be dressed extremely flamboyantly, very stereotypically, and I'll be doing that and have faces like the hey face the whole time.
And they'd be going like this.
No, they have
with
to be,
their wrists flinging.
They have to be snapping in a Z formation.
Oh my lord! And then we just hump the hell out of this guy and say, you know what, you're gay because you were a part of this.
It's, oh my god. And even if it was intentional, even if it was like an actual, oh, this dog likes other boy dogs. There's nothing wrong with that! There's nothing wrong with that!
I mean, I guess if you don't want that, separate the dogs.
Even then, it's not a big deal. It's not like the dog is spreading doggy AIDS.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't like to see my dogs just running around humping things. We tell them to quit because they don't need to do that.
But the thing is, it's not.
But being homophobic about it is absolutely.
If I saw my dog humping a sweater,
I'd get the camera out.
I'm so sweater phobic that I take the dog to be euthanized because you can't be humping no sweaters around me. Or even worse, if I saw a sweater humping another sweater. That would be it. The sweaters are out!
I'm a cardigan man. No more sweaters. No more sweaters. No more sweaters. I'm a cardigan man.
But, come on, people. Stop with the homophobia.
At least Elton is in a better place now. A happier place. A more accepting place. Go Elton.
Oh, I thought there was going to be a big punchline at the end of there.
No, I couldn't think of anything.
I thought it was going to be a more accepting place. Vegas.
Nah. Elton. I love the name Elton. That's just a slap in the face. What?
Oh, yeah.
So what if I am gay?
I'll be amazing at piano!
Exactly.
Doggy piano, doggy piano.
And write brilliant Disney songs.
And it is a pit bull, so it's pretty accurate on the looks side.
Nice.
Sorry, Elton. I'm making jokes.
Well, I mean, his jowl didn't really start to hang down until
recently, but yeah, he does got that little...
He has got... Yeah. We love you, Elton!
We love you, Elton. We love you. It's the circle of life, though. We all get jowly. we'll all get jowly.
And that is it for this extra long edition of Why the Aliens Won't Land. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been such a good neighbor during this whole time. Like a good neighbor, you were there. Remember, you can find us on Twitter at @LayandLove and @GameFro.
The Game Bro.
And of course, make sure to check out our site of hosting, www.smartwhenshouting.com. Aside from us, you can find all sorts of fun articles there. Like, we just posted our top 9 video games of 2012, and soon we'll be posting our top 9 movies of 2012. We got fun articles on Dexter's Laboratory and all sorts of fun stuff recently. Disney Infinity, we got a big article on that. Go check that out. We'll have a review of Warm Bodies up soon. Ew. Again, thank you so much for being with us. It's like you're right here on this couch that we're on.
It's like you're on my lap.
Get off!
I like it.
No, that's gay. We can't. No gay.
I'm euthanizing you.
Oh no! But make sure to stay up and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow Smart Shouting on Twitter for new episodes every Saturday. And we'll try to actually have them every Saturday from now on and not have to do these like 5-hour-long sessions. We will see you next time.
Goodbye.